What's up guys, C2113 here, and in today's video I'll be removing my peeling inner screen protector from my Galaxy Z Fold 3, and I'll be explaining my theories on why I think it happens and what Samsung could do to fix it. Alright guys, so you didn't misread the title. It happened to me. The factory inner screen protector on my Z Fold 3 is lifting. And trust me, this isn't the outcome I was hoping for. But nonetheless, I think the best course of action for me is to just remove it and just make sure that I'm careful with the display. It's been a long time coming. I first noticed this thing starting to be an issue around 2 to 3 months ago. And despite my best efforts to baby the screen protector, it's only continued to get worse. And if you read a lot of different Reddit threads and YouTube comments of people's experiences with the screen protector coming up, you'll see that a lot of them mention that if they did eventually get actual damage to the OLED panel beneath, it was when the entire thing delaminated all the way down, and then the bulging of the actual screen protector caused a black bar to appear down the middle. Basically, the extra force from that thickness of the bulging of the screen protector getting air underneath it cracked the actual OLED panel beneath, and that's obviously something I really want to avoid. So what were my first symptoms? Now, I wish I would have taken better pictures of this issue when it first started, but I can try and find some pictures online, but if not, I'm gonna just try and show you. So we'll use this spudger tool as a pointer. So you'll see on either side of the crease, and if I can, I'll put an actual diagram on screen to show you what I'm talking about. On either side of the dimples in the middle of the crease, they started to be slightly raised areas on either side. Now, at first, it just looked like a disruption of the adhesive just underneath, very minor. It wasn't even really lifting. But after I saw that for, I'd say that was the longest latent period. That lasted about 3 months. So I started noticing something probably only 4 months into ownership. But that lasted about 3 months. After that, they would start to lift up. And so, but I could use my S Pen Fold Edition, and I could just push them back into place. And then eventually I started noticing a little bit of lifting in the middle, but still mainly the lifting was on either side of the crease. However, in the last month, I would say the lifting became more accelerated, and within the last week, it's become even worse. And over just the last couple of days, the lifting has now concentrated entirely in the center, and it appears that there's been a shift of the actual screen protector layer, and it no longer sits flat. So I can't even force this down to the point where it'll stay for any serious amount of time. You can see I'll try and massage it down, and it starts lifting up again. Whereas before, if the side sections here on either side started lifting, I was able to sort of push them down and they would stay in place until the next time I opened the display. Now, I'm no material scientist here, so I can't claim to be an expert on exactly what is going on here. But the first thing you have to understand is this isn't a fixed display completely. If you watch really slowly when the display is closing and opening, you will see ever so slightly that the display actually slides in and out of these edges. So therefore, there is actually a shifting action here, but because it's not completely fixed, this should, in theory, avoid this PET layer actually shifting on top of the display panel below. Of course, in practice, we can't always have what we want. Now, why in particular do I think this happened to me, and what do I think is happening with most people that are having this issue? So most people that are having this issue usually have the issue either start at the top or the bottom, one or the other. It's not usually both. Now, at least on mine, on my Z Fold 3, I noted this when I first got the phone as well. look at the bottom, see if I can get it to focus. So the screen protector on the bottom doesn't actually go all the way to the edge, and it shouldn't. But you can see there's quite a large gap between the outer edge of the actual panel where the screen protector lies. It's basically just inside or just outside of the actual display area of the panel. But on top, you can see it butts almost all the way up against that black protective border. Now you might think, well, it doesn't really matter. It's all the display. As long as it's not underneath, that can't be the problem. Well, the problem I noticed is over time, it seems like the hinge mechanism starts to create little dimples in the display panel, particularly right on either side of these raised portions right outside of the crease. So you see how the crease kind of goes, there's a dip in the middle, and then it kind of has a crest on either side. So it kind of has a hill on both sides of the crater of the crease. Well, at the edge, you can just see by the way the light is bending down here, that there's actually a part of the display on either side that sort of curves downward underneath the black border. And that's not true around the whole way around. You can see over here, it's pretty much flat all the way. But when you get to the hinge, you get these weird spots where it dips down on both sides of the crease. That's true especially on the top as well, but it's also true on the bottom. And so what I've seen, at least on my particular Z Fold 3, and this is how I think most people's issue starts, is that the screen protector starts to delaminate on those points, especially when the screen protector isn't properly centered. So for people that say, oh, I've had my Z Fold 3 the entire time and it's never had the problem, my guess is you got really lucky. The screen protector placement on your unit was really, really well centered, and neither the top nor the bottom was biased towards those valleys on either side of the crease. And as a result, there wasn't that extra tension with the display open that caused sort of a slow tug on the screen protector to eventually cause it to delaminate. Whereas on people that had this issue, chances are they had a combination of always using the screen open a lot, because obviously I never noticed this issue when the screen was closed, meaning that up until a certain point, I'm guessing when it gets to a point where it really starts to delaminate, keeping it closed actually prevents it from getting worse. Because I think when it's closed, everything tightens up and those divots on either side flatten out, and that tension that's pulling away on the screen protector don't really appear. But if you combine always using your phone with the inner display open and having a screen protector that was installed poorly or aligned poorly from the factory, that was biased a lot towards the top or the bottom, chances are you're going to have this problem. Now, obviously, there are plenty of ways Samsung could solve this. Obviously, improving the material science to make the display panel itself, the actual flexible panel, less likely to bend like that is one. Improving the hinge mechanism to provide better support behind the panel to prevent that from happening. But honestly, the cheapest and easiest solution that I can't for the life of me figure out why they didn't just do in the first place is just make the actual screen protector smaller. If they made the screen protector just that bit smaller so that basically this border that you see in the bottom was the same all the way around, meaning that the screen protector only covered just the visible area of the display, yeah, I'm sure you'd hear a lot more complaints of people saying lint gets caught on the side and stuff like that. But in reality, I still think that would be far less of a big headache than what we have now, which is all kinds of people talking about basically by the time you get to about 6 months or longer of ownership of a Z Fold 3, chances are you're going to start to see some level of delamination of the inner screen protector. And you might say, well, hey, listen, it's just a screen protector, just put a new one on. Pretty much almost all of the aftermarket screen protectors are just not very good. You can see just looking at any real reviews for screen protectors for the Z Fold 3, that most of them either are very difficult to install, which is understandable, but hey, you could argue user error, or more importantly, still begin to fail. And actually the materials used, usually TPU, is not designed to be repeatedly folded like this and will start to fail pretty quickly due to material fatigue of being flexed open and closed. Now, I'm pretty sure Whitestone Dome does actually make a PET layer, which is the same material that Samsung uses on their factory screen protector. Nonetheless, even then though, it's very, very difficult to install without air bubbles. Now that being said, you might then ask, well, why can't Samsung just provide you with a replacement screen protector? And according to the warranty, they do, or at least they're supposed to. But in practice, I've called uBreak iFix, which is their certified repair centers. I've also tried to contact Samsung directly and ask them, and they said, well, try and find a Samsung store near you. Unfortunately, I live in the East Coast and I don't live anywhere near New York. So not really a convenient option for me there either, considering there aren't any locations near me. And the last option is, of course, to send the phone in, but that comes with the fact that it takes at minimum 2 weeks. Seems like now turnaround time is even longer than that. And for security purposes or something like that, they're gonna wipe your phone. So of course I got to back everything up. And of course we have to deal with the inconvenience of the fact that I won't have my phone. So I'll have to use a backup device and be without my phone for 2 weeks. So it seems like Samsung has several problems here. One, they have a complete inability to manage distribution properly for what is otherwise a very simple part. I mean, it's not even an integral part of the phone itself. It's just a screen protector. There's no electronics involved, nothing, super fancy there. All they just need is the installation equipment to properly apply the screen protectors perfectly every time. So that's the first problem, is you basically can't get it replaced if there's anything wrong with it. But even beyond that, there's the basic problem that these screen protectors should not be failing like this in the first place. And that goes back to just small things that are overlooked. Because of the time required for the adhesive to fail on these PET screen protectors, you can see that during their testing, I'm sure they opened and closed it, thousands of times, and they said, oh, it never came apart, so this is fine. We can make the screen protector like this. We don't need the alignment to be perfect, all that. But what we see is with, heat cycles and material fatigue, you see that eventually we do get the delamination happening. So enough talk, let's go ahead and pull this thing off. And I actually had considered previously doing this, but I was so terrified, like, oh no, because I'm a user of the S Pen. But I think this is definitely the best course of action. And based off of other people's reassurances online, I feel confident enough that, listen, I've got about a month left before the Z Fold 4 comes out. I think I can baby my phone just until the next one comes out. And hopefully, fingers crossed, that the next generation inner screen protector layer, whatever they do, they've worked out the bugs, they've got the size right, or they've got the hinge mechanism support a little bit better. So how do we want to remove this? Well, what we don't want to do is to use any metallic tools to pick around the edge. Now you have a couple options. You can come from the corner or you can come straight from the middle. But either way, I would strongly recommend against using any strong, sudden movements. So what we want to do is go kind of slow. And I kind of want to roll at an angle, like instead of coming straight down the crease, because I've seen a lot of people pulling really hard and it seems to strain the display on either side of the crease because of the angle. So while I am going to try and lift it from the center, I'm going to actually move that lift using this plastic tool right here to get the lift to the corner, and then I'm going to come all the way around sort of at an angle to remove it. So let me go ahead and get into position and then we'll do this. Now, before I do this real quick, I just want to say, if you guys are wondering how I get this display so clean, because every video, by the way, I've seen of somebody doing this, their screen protector is absolutely filthy and covered in fingerprints. You can click the card above and check out my deep cleaning video that will still also apply to the actual bare display underneath, but it's definitely different and it involves using a tool that avoids any need to rub anything on the display, which I would strongly recommend against with any display made from plastic. All right, guys, I'm gonna try and do this. This is kind of scary, but well, it needs to be done because I'm not about to let this go all the way down and cause severe damage to my display. All right, guys, so let me bring this up a little closer because I can't even see it. Man, this feels so wrong. Maybe I'm gonna try using this one. Huh. All right, it's lifting. I'm gonna try and work my way around. I'm working real slow, guys, so I don't know if you can see that, but I don't want to put too much strain on this thing. I'm gonna try and hold it with my finger, and I'm gonna keep coming around until I can get to the corner. You can see once I've gotten to the corner, now it's honestly not that difficult to remove. It's coming off pretty smoothly. You can see what I mean though, how it is kind of tugging at that crease a little bit. So I'm just trying to avoid applying too much pressure. So you can see I'm coming at a very shallow angle. Don't pull directly up. You want to avoid that. And coming at an angle instead of directly perpendicular to the crease means that you're going to put a lot less strain on there. All right, guys. There it is. There is the factory screen protector. Honestly, in pretty good shape. You know, it's a shame I had to remove it. I would have been happy to keep it on, but unfortunately, it wasn't up to me. So now let's go ahead and do a couple checks to make sure that, of course, it still works. Okay, so we can see it is indeed still working, and you know, the screen honestly doesn't really feel any different. Let me go ahead and get my S Pen out, and I am going to check, of course, to see that it still works. So we are getting the cursor showing up. Let's check our Air Command menu. Let's create a new note. And what I want to see is, I'm going to obviously be gentle, but I want to see if we get any more deflection in the display. I'm not pushing very hard, but I really don't see any more deflection in the display, if I'm completely honest with you guys. So that's pretty good. Maybe a slight amount more friction. I can't really be sure. Yeah, it's possible there's a little bit more friction, guys. So that PET could be helping to make it a little more slippery. But so far, so good. Let's see, did we leave any marks? Not that I can see. Okay, and then let's see how it is when we fold it. This is, of course, the Unicorn Beetle Pro case. All right, so let's open it back up. So yeah, I don't see anything that should be an issue here that's indicating anything different in the functionality. Obviously, I'll keep you guys updated on if anything goes catastrophically wrong. I've got my fingers crossed, but I don't think anything will. And I'll continue to baby this inner display. But anyway, guys, that's been my experience removing this inner screen protector. As always, I'll keep you guys posted. All right, guys, so before I let you go, I did actually want to give you guys a quick update. I did actually decide to replace the screen protector, and that's for one reason. I use the S Pen a lot. So usually if I've got the main display open, I'm probably using the S Pen. So for me, the issue wasn't that the screen itself couldn't take general use or folding and unfolding. It was more that the constant use of the S Pen had me a little concerned, especially over the crease where the display seems a little less supported. Now that being said, you guys can totally rock it naked. A lot of people claim that the screen is just fine naked, but I decided to replace it. And I'll show you what I've got. So that is what I've got on the inside. And if you're thinking, hey man, that looks pretty good, looks like it's original, it pretty much is. There's just a few imperfections, again, up here in the upper part of the crease. You can see because of those dimples, if this thing eventually fails, which it will, provided it's on long enough, it's gonna fail in that same spot. And then there's a couple air bubbles just along the border here that I didn't get quite perfect. But what I used is your Whitestone Dome Premium Gen Film. Now, these kits are shockingly affordable. Now, prices fluctuate, but I will leave the link in the description below. It's not like their normal Whitestone Dome glass liquid adhesive screen protectors. These are far more affordable. And the great thing about these, if you look at the back, you'll see it says PET film. PET, and it's a type of plastic, I can't remember the name, I'll put it on screen, is the same exact material that Samsung uses from the factory for their screen protector. So when I say it's pretty much original, this is the same material. And so other than maybe some slight, imperfections along the cutting of the edges of the screen protector that Samsung didn't have on theirs, this thing is pretty much original and I'm very pleased with it. I've had this on my phone now for 2 weeks, opening and closing it, using the S Pen, no creasing, no lifting, nothing weird happening. I've been very happy with this. So what comes in the kit? Obviously this isn't a full install video, but I just want to show you guys what comes in the kit. So you're going to have a screen protector in there. Unfortunately, you only get one. So considering the price of these, and if you are a little clumsy, I would get two. Give yourself every advantage. Make sure the room is like super humid. Maybe do this on your bathroom floor after running the shower super hot for a while, just to get an extra amount of humidity in there so there's no dust in the air. You'll get this sort of jig setup. So on the bottom, you have this anti-slip pad, which on a smooth surface prevents this from slipping. You have this, which you'll slot in over here. And then on this side, you'll have your screen protector holes lined up here. You'll lay your phone inside here, and using this tool, the phone lies like this on its side, and you essentially force the screen protector on from one edge to the other. The key being that the edge is parallel with the crease in the middle so that you get the screen protector to sort of lay into the valley that is the crease, and you get perfect adhesion. The trick that I found and that most people have found with this is to just make sure you do it in one smooth motion. There really isn't a good reason to sort of go back, and usually that's when you'll introduce air bubbles. So if you can go slow and steady from the beginning all the way, that's how you'll get it to stay down really well. And then after you've done the install, I'd say don't fold the phone for at least an hour. Other than that, I didn't really baby this thing afterwards, and it still looks great. It works great. I haven't had any issues with it at all. But anyway, guys, that's pretty much it. If you are looking to replace your screen protector, I know I've seen a lot of videos talking about removing it, but I'm sure some of you guys out there are still like, well, listen, I use the S Pen. I use my phone sometimes when it's a little bit more dusty and I don't want to scratch the main display, all that sort of stuff. Well, the Whitestone Dome Premium Gen Film might be the answer for you. So as always, I'll leave the link in the description below. And I'll also leave the link for the Z Flip 3 if that's your phone. But anyway, guys, if you liked the video, be sure to give me a like. If you have any questions, comments, your own experiences with removing the screen protector or replacing it with the Dome Premium Gen Film, definitely let me know. And as always, if you want to see more, don't forget to get subscribed.